5 armed men trapped tech billionaire Alexander Pierce in the Grand Meridian Hotel lobby. Derek Stone pressed a silenced pistol against his head. "Tonight you die, Pierce." Nearby, Maxine Waters pushed her cleaning cart unnoticed, blending into the background in her hotel uniform. Derek's cold eyes caught sight of her. "Hey you," he barked. "See this gun? Understand what's happening?" His voice was sharp, deliberate. "Walk away and keep quiet, or I'll put a bullet in your skull." His partner sneered. "Think it understands?" "These people know their place," Derek spat on the floor. "Don't you, cleaning lady? Stay invisible like a good little servant." He waved the weapon casually. "Now get lost before I decide you're next." Maxine's hands tightened around the cart handle. Years of scrubbing floors had made them rough and strong, but beneath that calm surface something fierce was waking up. What happened next would shock the world. The Grand Meridian stood 43 stories high in downtown Seattle, a towering symbol of wealth and influence. Inside its marble lobby, billion-dollar deals were sealed over champagne, while service workers moved quietly through the shadows, present yet unseen. Maxine Waters had worked there for 6 years. Every morning at 5, she caught 2 buses from her modest apartment in South Seattle. A single mother of 2, Maya, 12, and Jordan, 8, she worked long double shifts to pay rent and keep food on the table. To guests, she was invisible, just another maid restocking towels and emptying trash cans. They never noticed her precise movements or her eyes that constantly scanned every corner. No one saw the faint mark where a wedding ring once rested, or the challenge coin hidden deep in her pocket, because Maxine carried secrets that would destroy every assumption about her. She was a former Navy SEAL, with 3 classified tours overseas, an expert in close-quarters combat, tactical improvisation, and silent elimination. She'd saved her unit in Syria, taken down hostile fighters in Afghanistan, and survived missions still redacted in government files. But that was another lifetime, before the injury that ended her service. Before her husband Marcus died in a training accident. Before she traded combat boots for rubber gloves and learned how to disappear. Alexander Pierce was different from the usual guests. The tech billionaire always greeted her politely. Last Christmas, when Jordan needed emergency surgery, an anonymous donor paid the entire hospital bill. Maxine suspected it was Pierce, though he never admitted it. He'd built his empire on quantum encryption software and was set to testify before Congress, revealing details about Russian cyber warfare operations. Powerful people wanted him silenced. Derek Stone was their chosen weapon, an ex-Spetsnaz assassin turned international hitman, leading a crew that made problems vanish for a price. Tonight's contract, $10 million. His team had arrived separately over 3 days. Facial recognition was disabled, cameras hacked, local police diverted with fake emergency calls. Every detail had been rehearsed to perfection, except one. They underestimated the maid. Maxine Waters finished restocking supplies in the penthouse suite. Through the window, Seattle's skyline glittered in the night. Somewhere below, predators prepared to hunt. Her instinct screamed a warning she couldn't ignore. She checked her watch. Alexander would arrive soon for dinner, a meeting Derek's crew had whispered about all week. Tonight, the invisible woman would have to decide between safety and duty. Earlier that afternoon, Maxine had been cleaning the executive conference room when voices drifted through a thin wall. 5 men spoke in low, deliberate tones. "Target arrives at 8:30, Derek said. "Security will be minimal. We take him out in the lobby. Stage it like a robbery." Maxine froze, rag in hand. Training took over. Threat assessment, intel gathering, mission analysis. "What about witnesses?" another man asked. "Handled," Derek replied. Hotel staff sent home for a gas leak drill. Cameras looped. Police response delayed. Her pulse quickened. They were planning a murder inside her hotel. Quietly, she moved closer to the door. Through the narrow crack, she saw Derek's reflection in the glass. Tall, cold-eyed, studying a tablet showing building blueprints. "Pierce thinks he's meeting investors," Derek smirked. "Instead, he meets us. $10 million to shut one man up. Easy money." Maxine's heart pounded. Alexander Pierce, the kind man who once saved her child. Suddenly, Derek's head turned. "Did you hear that?" Footsteps approached. Maxine resumed cleaning, humming softly. The door flew open. Derek's stare cut through her. "How long have you been here?" "Just started, sir," she said quietly, keeping her eyes low. "What did you hear?" "Nothing, sir. Just cleaning." His tone turned threatening. Because cleaning ladies who hear too much have accidents. Slippery floors, broken necks. Understand? Yes, sir, she whispered. Good, finish up and disappear. When the door slammed shut, Maxine's hands trembled. 20 years of discipline shouted inside her head. Neutralize the threat, protect the target. But civilian instincts whispered different advice. Call the police, think of your children. It was 6:15. Alexander would arrive in 2 hours. She could go home, hug her kids, and pretend none of this happened. Or she could honor the oath she once swore, to protect the innocent from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Her fingers brushed the challenge coin in her pocket. Marcus had given it to her the day she graduated SEAL training. Semper Fi, baby. Always faithful. Alexander Pierce had once saved her son's life. Tonight she might return the favor. 2 minutes remained before Alexander Pierce would walk straight into their trap. Maxine Waters' mind switched into tactical mode, assessing every angle with precision. 5 armed hostiles, 1 civilian to protect. The attackers had superior firepower and strategic position, but they'd made one fatal mistake. Assuming they were the only predators in the building, her fingers brushed the smooth challenge coin in her pocket, worn down from years of service. Marcus had given it to her when she completed SEAL training, back when the world was simpler and enemies wore uniforms. Maya, Jordan, she whispered softly, picturing her children asleep at home. Mommy's coming back, but she has work to finish first. In her mind, the elegant hotel lobby became a combat zone. Marble pillars turned into cover. Crystal chandeliers could serve as distractions. Decorative fountains became tools for confusion and defense. Her route was clear. Drop from the ceiling near the service corridor. Use the marble column for cover. Create chaos to give Alexander a chance to escape. It was classic asymmetric warfare, speed and surprise against greater numbers. Derek Stone stood near the entrance, weapon ready beneath his jacket. His team formed a perfect kill zone, every escape path covered overlapping fields of fire. Maxine synchronized her watch with theirs. 60 seconds to contact. She had faced worse. In Fallujah, her 6-person SEAL team had taken on 40 insurgents inside an abandoned warehouse. The key had been speed, precision, and exploiting arrogance, the same arrogance Derek showed now. He saw only a maid, not the trained warrior hidden behind the uniform. Through the ceiling grate, Maxine watched him adjust his tie, calm and confident. Another contract, another death, another paycheck. 30 seconds. Her hands reached for improvised tools, cleaning chemicals that could blind, metal fittings that could strike or distract. Training compressed into instinct. Outside, Alexander's footsteps echoed down the hallway, unaware that 5 assassins were waiting and 1 protector was preparing to act. 15 seconds. Derek's team tightened formation, hands near concealed weapons. But they'd forgotten the oldest combat rule: always watch your back. At exactly 8:30, Alexander Pierce entered through the hotel's glass doors, glancing at his phone. The lobby looked calm, with a few men standing casually around the room, each one positioned with purpose. Derek emerged from behind the fountain, pistol raised and voice steady. Mr. Pierce, we represent parties concerned about your upcoming testimony. Alexander froze as 5 armed men appeared from the shadows surrounding him. It was a professional setup. No exits, no cover, no hope. You think killing me will stop the truth? He asked, backing toward the marble wall. The truth doesn't matter, Derek replied coldly. Dead men don't talk. Your secrets die with you. The assassins moved with precise coordination, closing in. Above them, a ceiling panel shifted silently. Derek smiled, savoring the control. $10 million for 1 bullet, he said. Easy money. He raised his weapon. Any last words, Mr. Pierce? Alexander exhaled calmly. Yeah, you chose the wrong hotel. Before Derek could react, Maxine Waters dropped from the ceiling behind Victor, the nearest gunman. 20 years of SEAL discipline condensed into one perfect strike. Her ceramic blade found the point below his ear. He collapsed without a sound, weapon slipping across the floor. Chen, the sniper, spun toward the noise. Maxine was already moving, redirecting his gun arm upward, striking his throat and using his own momentum to throw him into a glass coffee table. Crystal shattered across the marble floor, catching light like fragments of ice. Derek's head snapped toward the chaos, disbelief written across his face. The quiet hotel maid, the woman he mocked, was dismantling his elite team with flawless efficiency. "Who are you?" he demanded, weapon shaking between Alexander and Maxine. She didn't answer. Combat was focus, not conversation. Hassan, the Syrian operative, charged from the left, knife flashing. His attack was predictable. Maxine ducked low, trapped his wrist, swept his legs, and slammed his head against the fountain edge. Water turned faintly red as he went limp. Guests began to emerge from elevators and restaurants, phones raised. Video streamed live across social platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and capturing every second. A hotel worker defeating trained assassins with precision. Rodriguez, the knife expert, drew his pistol in desperation. Maxine grabbed a heavy brass lamp from the counter, deflecting his shot with a metallic spark, then drove the lamp into his chest. His ribs cracked audibly, his weapon fell, and a final knee strike sent him unconscious. In less than 2 minutes, Derek's elite team, worth $50 million in blood contracts, was down. The woman he had dismissed now stood over them. Calm and unshaken. "This can't be real," Derek whispered, hands trembling as he lifted his gun. Maxine moved with controlled speed, twisting his wrist into a lock that forced the pistol to the ground. She swept his legs, pinning him near the fountain. "Clean up on aisle 5, she said evenly, checking Alexander for injuries with one foot pressing Derek's neck. Phones recorded everything. The entire event streamed online in real time. Within minutes, the hashtag Darius housekeeper assassin exploded across platforms. Clips flooded timelines, showing a woman in uniform standing amid chaos, 5 unconscious men around her. Hotel security rushed in, alerted by dozens of calls. They found high-level weapons scattered across the floor, and Maxine calm and steady surrounded by neutralized attackers. "This woman attacked us." Derek gasped, blood streaking his chin. "She's a terrorist." "I stopped an assassination attempt," Maxine replied, voice composed, posture military. Her cover was gone, but her discipline remained. Alexander stepped forward, his voice shaking but firm. "She saved my life. These men came here to kill me. She's a hero." The scene went viral instantly. News outlets and social media replayed the footage endlessly. The image of Maxine Waters standing over trained assassins became global, but not everyone celebrated. In Moscow and Beijing, Derek's employers watched their flawless plan collapse publicly. The humiliation was severe, and they were ready to retaliate. If they couldn't eliminate Alexander quietly, they'd destroy his rescuer's reputation instead. Within hours, disinformation machines activated. Online forums questioned Maxine's past. How could a maid fight like a soldier? Was it all staged? Was Alexander involved? By morning, coordinated bot networks flooded major platforms. Hashtags shifted, from Czar housekeeper hero to Bar's staged assassination and violent veteran. Thousands of fake accounts circulated stories portraying Maxine as unstable, dangerous, even complicit. Simultaneously, Derek's backers launched legal counterattacks. High-profile lawyers filed charges against her: assault, reckless endangerment, conspiracy. The unconscious assassins were reframed as victims of an unstable former soldier. Leaked documents twisted her honorable discharge into a story of psychological instability. Classified missions were reframed as signs of mental conditioning, unfit for civilian life. By dawn, the same woman hailed as a hero was being portrayed as a threat. Cable news analysts began questioning whether trained military operatives should ever be allowed to work near civilians without strict psychological evaluations. The campaign to destroy Kesha's reputation was calculated, relentless, and devastatingly effective. Social media once celebrated her bravery. Now it attacked her with orchestrated outrage. Why didn't she just call the police? One comment read, "Typical violent veteran who can't adjust to society." Others echoed the same script. Hotels need better screening for employees with PTSD. Overnight, the public narrative shifted, controlled by unseen forces. Paid demonstrators appeared outside the Grand Meridian carrying printed signs that read, "Justice for victims and end military violence in civilian spaces." Later reports revealed they were hired crisis actors, yet their message dominated headlines. Kesha's daughter, Maya, faced bullying at Roosevelt Middle School. Students taunted her at her locker, Your mom's the psycho who beats people up. Teachers averted their eyes, unwilling to defend the child of a woman now labeled a violent extremist. Someone spray-painted killer's kit on her locker. 8-year-old Jordan came home crying after being attacked on the playground. They said my mommy hurts people and that we should go back to Africa. He sobbed. Are you bad, Mommy? Did you really hurt those men? Even Keisha's mother calling from Atlanta sounded broken. Baby people at church are whispering. Reverend Thompson told me not to come this Sunday. They say you've brought sin and shame into God's house. The Grand Meridian suspended Kesha indefinitely pending a criminal investigation. Corporate lawyers quietly circulated memos to other hotel chains labeling her a security risk with a documented record of workplace violence. No company would consider her for employment. Military contractors declined her applications, citing liability concerns over unstable veterans. Legal costs piled up rapidly. Her public defender, a new attorney juggling hundreds of cases, lacked the time or resources for a proper defense. Meanwhile, Derek's team hired elite attorneys who routinely defended corrupt regimes and corporations accused of killing children. The imbalance was deliberate. David versus Goliath, except David's slingshot had been seized as evidence. Alexander Pierce faced his own mounting pressure. Board members questioned his connection to the violent hotel incident. Stock prices fell. Investors feared reputational damage could impact profits. During an emergency board meeting, corporate lawyers suggested a quiet settlement with strict non-disclosure agreements to protect the company's upcoming IPO. Meanwhile, Derek Stone rebranded himself as the picture of wounded professionalism. Appearing on national news, his face carefully made up to highlight faint bruises. He projected calm, moral superiority. I bear no ill will toward this deeply troubled woman, he told CNN, voice dripping with fake empathy. She clearly suffers from untreated trauma. What she needs is psychiatric help, not punishment. But society cannot tolerate violence in our hotels, no matter her past service. It was a flawless performance. The forgiving victim narrative executed with precision. Hashtags like Prawn, forgiveness not vengeance flooded social media, calling for Kesha's involuntary psychiatric treatment. Evidence critical to her defense began vanishing. Security footage was mysteriously corrupted during routine maintenance. Derek's surviving men submitted identical statements claiming a peaceful business meeting, interrupted by an unprovoked attack from a deranged employee. Kesha's SEAL records were locked under classification orders, barring her defense from presenting proof of her elite training. Police reports framed her as a delusional hotel worker who imagined herself a soldier, snapped under stress, and attacked innocent guests. Official documents labeled her emotionally unstable and financially distressed. Sitting in her small apartment, eviction notice taped to the door, Kesha watched news anchors dissect her life. Packed boxes lined the walls. Her children, frightened by endless coverage, asked questions she couldn't answer. Mommy, Maya whispered one night, hiding beneath the blankets. Are we bad people now? Are they going to take us away? The question shattered Kesha inside. Everything she had fought to protect, her children, her dignity, her peace, was slipping away under a campaign she couldn't see or fight. Meanwhile, Derek grew bolder. He had done this before, using wealth and corruption to crush those without power. The outcome felt inevitable. But this time arrogance clouded his judgment. His overconfidence led to mistakes. He began demanding federal terrorism charges, calling for Kesha's life imprisonment as a warning to unstable veterans. His interviews turned vindictive, filled with personal cruelty. He wanted her utterly destroyed, humiliated beyond recovery. That hubris drew the attention of FBI Special Agent Sarah Martinez, a veteran investigator with 2 decades of counterterrorism experience. Something in Derek's story didn't fit. Why did these businessmen carry encrypted military-grade devices? How did they bypass hotel security systems with professional precision? Why were Derek's associates flagged in Interpol databases under multiple aliases? Martinez began pulling threads Derek's handlers hadn't expected anyone to tug. 3 weeks into the chaos, when the media frenzy reached its peak, Derek Stone played his last, most vicious card, an anonymous phone call at 2 a.m. Maya's school route, Jordan's daily walk to the bus stop, a precise rundown of their routines, recited in cold, detached voices that carried one clear message: danger. Your mother made some powerful enemies, the caller told 12-year-old Maya after she answered the house phone. Smart girls know when to convince their mothers to stop talking to the police. Kesha's training from years in the military instantly took over. Identify the threat, secure the perimeter, protect what matters. But civilian life demanded restraint and trust in a justice system that had already betrayed her. She stood at a crossroads, the mother fighting to keep her children safe, or the soldier trained never to abandon her mission. Then came Derek's message and a request for a private meeting. He claimed he wanted to end the chaos before more people got hurt. The chosen location was deliberate: the Grand Meridian Hotel lobby, the very place where his public downfall began. Kesha arrived alone, wearing her best dress instead of her hotel uniform. The marble floor beneath the chandeliers gleamed, a stage for what had once been her workplace, now the site of her transformation. Derek stood by the same fountain where she had once forced him to his knees. His designer suit, confident posture, and calm demeanor radiated power. The smug belief that wealth would always defeat resilience. "Miss Williams," he greeted with fake politeness. "Thank you for meeting me. I hope we can settle this like reasonable adults." "Cut the act, Derek," she replied flatly. "What do you want?" He smiled thinly. "Straight to the point, I like that. Here's my offer, a complete settlement. $5 million, sealed records, new identities for your children, and relocation anywhere in the world." The offer lingered in the air, tempting yet toxic. "In exchange for what?" she asked. "Simple," he said smoothly. "You admit your actions were the result of untreated trauma. You publicly apologize for attacking innocent businessmen, agree to psychiatric treatment, and disappear. Quietly." He paused, watching her reaction. "Your kids get safety, private schools, college funds. You get to stay alive. Everybody wins, except the truth," she said quietly. Derek laughed, the sound bouncing off marble walls. "Truth? Look around, Kesha. Does truth win anymore? Your name is ruined, your family's in danger, your future is gone. Truth is what people believe, and people believe what I tell them." He leaned closer, voice dropping to a sharp whisper. "You think you're protecting your kids? You're breaking them. Maya's having panic attacks at school. Jordan's terrified of strangers. Every day you keep fighting, they pay the price." His words struck hard, part truth, part manipulation. "Your son asked his teacher if his mom was going to jail forever. Your daughter's been searching juvenile homes online, wondering where she'll live after your conviction. Is that the protection you promised them?" Each line was a calculated blow to her resolve. "You want to be a hero?" Derek pressed. "Real heroes know when to surrender for their family's sake. Sign the papers. Take the money. Let your kids heal from the damage you caused." For a moment, Kesha hesitated. Maybe he was right. Maybe fighting this battle was selfish. Maybe disappearing would give her children peace. Sensing her hesitation, Derek continued, voice dripping with control. "Think about federal terrorism charges, 25 years to life. Maya and Jordan growing up ashamed of their mother. You'll be just another inmate who chose pride over family." He tapped on a sleek tablet, showing recent surveillance photos. Maya walking to school. Jordan in the courtyard, her mother grocery shopping in Atlanta. "These were taken yesterday," he said calmly. "My people have global reach, endless resources, and creative methods. The threat didn't need to be spoken. But I'm not a monster," Derek added softly. "I don't want to hurt children. Sign the confession and everyone stays safe. Your kids will live better than you ever dreamed." For an instant, Kesha almost believed him. The exhaustion of fighting alone weighed her down like concrete. Then she remembered who she was. "Derek," she said quietly, reaching into her purse. "I have a confession, too." He raised an eyebrow, until she revealed a small recording device. "What the hell is that?" he snapped. "Insurance," she said evenly. "This entire conversation has been transmitted live to FBI Special Agent Sarah Martinez and the Joint Terrorism Task Force parked outside." Derek froze. "You're recording illegally." "I didn't consent. Washington is a one-party consent state," she interrupted. "Your threats against my children? Federal intimidation? Those photos? Interstate stalking? Your men following my mother? Cross-state conspiracy?" His calm facade began to crack. "And the best part?" Kesha continued. Agent Martinez ran facial recognition on your business partners from the hotel footage. They're all wanted by Interpol, linked to assassination contracts in 12 countries. She took a step closer, her tone cold but steady. Your entire operation is exposed, Derek, not just Alexander Pierce, everything. The journalist murdered in London? Your team, the prosecutor killed in Prague? Same signature. The environmental lawyer who crashed in Brazil? Your people were there too. Derek's arrogance dissolved into visible fear. You thought you were breaking a powerless hotel maid, Kesha said. But what you really did was expose an international death squad to the FBI. FBI agents emerged from the hotel's service corridors, weapons ready, their tactical gear replacing the staff uniforms they had worn as cover. Derek Stone, Agent Martinez declared firmly, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, international terrorism, and numerous other crimes that will keep you behind bars for life. As handcuffs locked around Derek's wrists, Maxine Waters stood in the same lobby where he had once dismissed her as insignificant. But this time she wasn't invisible. She was justice in motion. Derek Stone's arrest set off a global chain reaction that unearthed decades of hidden crimes. Within hours, coordinated FBI operations in 12 countries captured 47 members of his assassination network. Raids on properties in Prague, London, and Dubai exposed evidence of politically motivated killings spanning 20 years. The man who had once mocked Maxine as worthless now wore a prison uniform, facing 17 life sentences with no chance of parole. His empire of fear collapsed because he underestimated a single woman's determination. Derek's trial became an international event. Prosecutors tied his organization to assassinations of journalists, activists, and whistleblowers across 4 continents. Each target had stood against powerful entities, oil giants, drug cartels, and corrupt regimes that paid to silence truth-tellers. The jury deliberated for only 37 minutes before delivering a unanimous verdict, guilty on all charges. As the verdict was read, Derek looked toward Maxine in disbelief. The same woman he had once threatened now stood as the reason for his downfall. Alexander Pierce honored his word. The day after the conviction, he launched the Invisible Heroes Foundation with a $100 million fund to support service workers who exposed corporate crimes. Maxine Waters proved that heroism wears work uniforms, Pierce said at the press conference. Janitors, guards, and housekeepers see everything. Now they'll have protection when they speak truth to power. Maxine was soon appointed Director of Corporate Security at Pierce Industries, earning in a month what once took her years. But what mattered most was respect. Her voice now carried influence in boardrooms, and her policies protected employees at every level. Her children's lives changed too. The bullying ended when classmates realized their mother was a national hero, not a criminal. Maya wrote her graduation speech about courage, dedicated to my mom, who showed me that being unseen doesn't mean being powerless. Jordan joined the wrestling team, showing his mother's strength through sportsmanship and protection of others. Derek's conviction led to congressional hearings, where Maxine testified about invisible workers who witnessed crimes but lacked protection. Her testimony inspired the Waters Worker Protection Act, which expanded whistleblower rights, strengthened self-defense laws, and increased corporate accountability. The bill passed with bipartisan support. Republicans praised veterans protecting civilians, and Democrats honored working-class heroes confronting corruption. Maxine's story crossed political boundaries. The hashtag #InvisibleNoMore became a global campaign. Hotel workers in London exposed harassment. Janitors in Tokyo uncovered pollution cover-ups, and guards in Mumbai reported bribery rings. Her courage inspired millions to speak truth regardless of consequence. The Grand Meridian Hotel, once a place of exploitation, became a symbol of reform, now offering fair wages, benefits, and mandatory respect training. Other chains followed, eager to avoid bad publicity. Derek's allies faced justice of their own. Foreign operatives expelled, domestic collaborators indicted, and the once untouchable network dismantled under legal scrutiny. Prison life was harsh for Derek Stone. Inmates knew his crimes: threats against children, racist abuse, and paid murders. Even criminals had limits. He lived in isolation, forgotten. 6 months after his sentencing, Maxine visited him, not for closure but for clarity. "You asked who I was," she said through the glass. I'm a mother who protects her children, a veteran who keeps her oath, and a worker who demands dignity. You mistook strength for weakness. Derek said nothing. There were no words for such defeat. Maya's applying to the Naval Academy. Jordan wants to be a teacher. They're proud of me now. That's worth more than your blood money ever was. As she stood to leave, she added, "By the way, your old suite? It's now our employee break room. Workers eat lunch where you planned murder. Feels right?" A year later, Maxine walked through the Grand Meridian lobby in her security supervisor uniform. Guests and staff greeted her warmly. The marble floors she once cleaned now reflected her badge of authority. Her transformation was complete, from overlooked to essential, from victim to victor. Maya's acceptance letter to the Naval Academy arrived on the anniversary of the confrontation. "I learned from the best," she told her mother. "You taught me that invisibility is a choice. Justice wears many forms. Sometimes it carries a gavel, sometimes a mop, but it always finds the light." Derek Stone's legacy was disgrace and life sentences. Maxine's was transformation, changed lives, protected workers, and children who knew their worth. 18 months later, filmmaker Maria Santos interviewed Maxine in her new office overlooking the same lobby where it all began. "People ask if I'm different now," Maxine reflected, adjusting a photo of Maya in uniform. "Truth is, I'm the same person. The difference is, I stopped hiding who I am." The numbers spoke volumes. Derek's conviction led to investigations in 47 countries, 340 arrests and $4.7 billion in recovered assets. The Invisible Heroes Foundation now operated in 63 nations, helping workers who witnessed crimes come forward safely. Hotel cleaners in Bangkok exposed trafficking networks. Airport janitors in Frankfurt uncovered terror funding. Office staff in New York revealed insider trading. Every month, new heroes stepped into the light. Maya, now 19, graduated with honors, saying, "Being unseen isn't weakness, it's strategy. Real power is knowing when to act." Jordan, 15, mentored younger teammates, often saying, "Strength isn't about how hard you hit, it's how much you protect." The hospitality industry changed forever. Panic buttons, guest background checks, and non-waivable whistleblower protections became law. Corporate leaders grew cautious, knowing their staff might hold them accountable. Alexander Pierce's tech company went public at record value, with Maxine serving on the board. Her strategic insight shaped industry-wide standards, leading firms to hire more veterans in executive protection roles. Meanwhile, Derek lived in near-total isolation in a Colorado supermax prison. His assets were seized and repurposed into housing for veterans, the very people he once dismissed. Even other inmates rejected him. He remained in permanent protective custody. Maxine's speaking career took her worldwide: military bases, leadership conferences, labor forums. Her message was simple: dignity isn't given, it's claimed. Everyone here has been invisible to someone. What matters is what you do when that happens. Her story went viral: over 800 million views, university studies, and 3 best-selling books. Invisible no more topped lists for 37 weeks. The Hotel Warrior became required reading. And From Shadows to Spotlight inspired legislation in multiple countries. The movement grew. Millions found courage through her example. Statistics showed her reach: 12.3 million followers, 847 speaking events, 156 international interviews, 23 honorary degrees, and a Presidential Medal of Freedom for defending democratic integrity. But Maxine measured success differently. Looking into Maria's camera, she said, "Tell me your invisible hero story. Tag the people who protect others without being seen. Recognize them. Subscribe if you believe courage has no price tag, no uniform, no limits. Remember, every janitor, guard, and cleaner is someone's protector." The final scene showed Maxine training new recruits, teaching that protection means ensuring everyone works with dignity and safety. Over soft music, text appeared, dedicated to invisible workers everywhere, those who keep the world running while waiting to be seen. The screen faded to black. Respect the invisible, because everyone deserves recognition. Across the world, viewers reached for their phones. It was time to start seeing